let's launch it. Oh, that was pretty good. Come on, baby. Whoa, f***. Oh, yes! Well, this is it. This is the final facelift for the i30N. Frankly, I'm shocked that Hyundai have even gone out and facelifted this thing, because Australia seems to be the only market in the world that's actually getting it. You see, if you live in Europe, you can no longer just go out and buy yourself an i30N. The engine does not meet the strict emission standards. This has never been sold in the US. Perhaps there are some other markets, but as far as I'm aware, Australia's the only one to get this now. So yes, it is quite curious to me that the i30N has even gone through yet another update, but I'm not complaining. I have spent so much time with the i30N. I recently was in Germany driving this thing for hundreds of kilometers around the Nurburgring. And so it really solidified then to me that, yeah, the i30N is truly epic. Not without its faults. Absolutely, it's got some. But as a complete package, the i30N is very, very impressive. So today I'm going to take you for a full review of the facelifted i30N. Now we have new N exterior styling. We have some new interior features as well. We even have updates to the way that this thing drives. So I will tell you all about that in today's review, including price that now starts at $50,000 before on-road costs. And honestly, that's pretty good for any hot hatch. And then it maxes out at $53,500 Australian dollars, and that is for the N Premium, which nets you some new updated N seats on the inside. This one here is actually the Povo, the base spec, which actually used to lose out on quite a few features, but they have changed that, so it brings it much more in line with the N Premium. And of course, if you want to learn exactly what you get by grade, just Google CarSauce Hyundai i30N facelift, and you can read our full written review there. But let's get straight into it. Okay, let's talk about what they have changed with the facelift for the i30N. I actually don't think it needed any change, and it's kind of hard to pick out, but as soon as you notice it, then you can't not notice it. So there's a lot more red going on up front. It keeps the red splitter, but now you get these red accents here. And this is for the aero that streamlines air across the side, helps to cool brakes and make the car more efficient. And frankly, I don't mind it actually. I think it looks pretty cool, but not everyone does. So let me know in the comment section what you think of that specifically. They've also replaced the grille. So now it's got a honeycomb design, and you've got this matte black logo here, which I do think is very cool. I quite like it. This is finished in white, which is actually one of my least favorite paint colors, but it does contrast really well with the red. I wonder how it looks with my favorite color though, the performance blue. That might be very boy racerish. But otherwise, very nice design. I love the headlights here. They're very cool. Also your turning signals, and they're bright LEDs as well. So it's functional, and I think it looks great. Let's check out the side. Okay, coming to the side, you're gonna see these 19-inch wheels here. They're technically the same design, but they've got a new color to them. They're graphite. I'll be totally honest with you, I cannot tell any difference between this and the wheels before. They may be a slightly different shade of gray. That's about it. They're also still wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires. I still think there is a bit too much wheel hop, wheel spin, and if you put on Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, I think you're gonna have a much better time, to be honest. You've also got N-Red brake calipers here. They're pretty good as well, but I have tested out the OEM accessory ones. When we did a racetrack, I had one of these as a long-termer, and it made a world of difference, especially to stopping distance. So yeah, highly recommend upgrading to those as well, and they're not too expensive. You have a blacked out mirror here, but no 360 camera, which is a shame, but again, remembering the price, it's still very good value. Keyless entry, and go tinted privacy glass, which is good to see actually at this price point. You've also got new red side skirts down the side. If you don't mind it, I think it looks pretty cool. And of course, you have a very short rear end, because it is a hatch, and we need more goddamn hatches. Let's check out the bump. And then coming to the bump, you're gonna see these LED tail lights here, except for the bloody turn signals. As always, this car costs tens of thousands of dollars. It can't be that expensive to put in an LED bulb and not a bloody halogen bulb. So disappointed to see that. You've also got a spoiler here with a third brake light, supposed to look like a rain light on a race car, which is very cool. You have i30N now blacked out. You have your blacked out badging there as well. And then down the bottom, you have more red piping for your diffuser and two of the most magnificent exhausts you will find on any factory car. Before you listen to them, I have to say, I love the fact that Hyundai are putting on something fun. Other manufacturers completely go the opposite way. Most other hot hatches sound like shit, if I'm being totally honest. This sounds absolutely epic, so take a listen to it stationary. How amazing was that? And now take a listen to it on the road. Yeah, honestly, some of the best noises you will ever hear in your life, and I wholeheartedly stand by it. Seriously, an amazing sounding 4-cylinder, considering that it is only 4 cylinders. Now let's talk about what it can fit in its bum. Actually a decent amount. Let me take out my Pelican case here. As you'll note, actually, it's an N Pelican case. How cool is that? So in terms of boot space, it's actually pretty good. 395 liters with the second row up. You've also got a tiny bit of underfloor storage with a space saver spare wheel, so better than a tire inflation kit, that's for sure. You can also drop the rear seats and then you get some stupid amount of space. In fact, it's 1,301 liters for those of you who are a bit special like me. And you're also gonna notice a cool but also kind of annoying element. You have a brace bar here. It actually is for rigidity and tautness, holds both sides of the car together. The issue is that when you are trying to put in a larger object, let's say, I don't know, a Christmas tree that you've just bought from Kmart, it is a bit of a pain in the ass. It means you have to remove the cargo cover. So yeah, it's a minor inconvenience, but you're just not gonna find that in other competitors. It looks cool, but it does kind of eat into practicality just a little bit. I still love it though. Let's check out the interior. Alrighty guys. Inside the updated i30N, the facelift. Hard to spot. There are some things that are different, of course. Like I said, if it's only coming to Australia, why the hell are they going to invest a huge amount of money? They're not going to. So up in front of you, you get a digital driver's display. I actually kind of liked the analog displays of before. It's fine. We've seen it in the Kona N, we've seen it in the i30 Sedan N. In fact, we've seen it in most of their products. It looks good. It's got some really cool graphics to it. Like when you put the car into N mode and your foot accidentally slips. Oh no. But I will forever miss those physical LED lights for upshifting. Anyway, you still get it, but it's now software. Like I said though, you can see plenty of information up in front of you, so I'm really not gonna complain. It's still very, very good. The steering wheel remains the same. You still have your media controls on the left, your cruise controls on the right. Still no adaptive cruise control, which is kind of annoying considering they added a bunch of other safety stuff. You've also got your N mode selectors here, which are customizable, which is awesome. And then you have a new red button here that says NGS. That is a kind of funny term, N-Grin Shift. You'll see that when we go driving, but essentially puts this car into overboost, so you get a little bit more performance. The infotainment display does remain the same. It's still very good. You have an N mode screen, which just gives you a lot of telemetrics. It's actually very awesome. And you can also adjust your custom modes here, which is one of my favorite things about the i30N is just how customizable it is. You can have it however you want. So for example, my custom 1 mode is everything full fat N except for the electronic stability control. I keep that on normal so I don't spin off the road. You do have a new feature here called a Blue Link. So you'll see the buttons up here, including SOS. It's now a connected car, so you can use an app to monitor your car. In the terrible case it's been stolen, it can be tracked, and that is included for a number of years, and then they're still finalizing pricing. So anyway, it's free for now. It is still wide Apple CarPlay, wide Android Auto, which does kind of suck. It should be completely wireless at this point, especially since you get a pretty good wireless charger there. Also new is a USB-C port up front. That's good. A 12-volt socky wacky, and you still retain your USB-A port because that's how you interface with this infotainment display. I have to give a huge shout out to these air conditioning controls, and that is because they are so easy to use. I don't know why manufacturers, Volkswagen with their Golf, are moving towards in-screen stuff when it's just so perfect right here. Please don't change that, Hyundai, please. I will say one thing you can change though, Hyundai, is just the design. You can just tell that all of the budget for the design of this car went into the drivetrain, because the interior is just a sea of black plastics. It's fine. It actually feels relatively premium with soft touch materials in pretty much all places, but it's still just black plastic and it's so boring. They did replace the ring around the transmission shifter, which is a very nice shifter, I must say. And of course we are in the base model, and that means we get these base model seats, which I honestly never really loved. I was like, just go for the premium with the leather seats. And that design has changed a little bit. You now get more Alcantara, I think, to cover the fact that the leather on the side would wear down pretty quickly. But in a way, I kind of prefer this. First of all, the i30N, when you get it in this base spec, it's lighter, so therefore technically more performance. But also, even though it is manual adjustment in most ways, in fact always, you get an extendable leg support for the driver, which I actually think makes all the bloody difference. So yeah, I've got no complaints. And I quite like the design. They definitely feel quite base model-y. You do get the N badge in there and there's some blue stitching, but I actually quite like it. Storage as well is one of the best parts of the i30N. It's seriously a well well-designed, thoughtful interior, just not the most aesthetic. So you've got a couple of cup holders here. You have a pretty massive glove box there. Door bins are huge, really, really big. You've also got a nice soft center armrest with plenty of storage in there as well. So yeah, really no complaints. They've added a few different little things, but really if you had the pre-facelift or even the pre-facelift, you won't feel like you're missing out on anything. It feels quite nice. It's still very similar to what it was before. Let's check out the back seats. Alrighty guys. Back seats now of the i30N. I will be totally honest with you, I don't think this is as good as pretty much most competitors. Certainly the Civic Type R has more space in the back and more amenity, and the new Golf GTI, which I'll leave a link to the review down below. At 5'11", I've got enough legroom. Toe room is okay. Headroom is great, thanks to the hatchbacky style of this thing. But yeah, there are no air vents, which I think is a huge, huge miss, especially on a hot day like today. I'm feeling it in the back. You do get new USB-C fast chargers, which is good. Get mat pockets as well. The seats are actually pretty comfy as well. Pull this down, you get a nice soft center armrest with a couple of cup holders. Practicality is great back here too. You actually get pretty massive door bins as well, and soft touch materials all throughout the back. So it does feel relatively premium, but the base model cloth seats, they do remind you that it's not the most expensive thing in the world. And that means that you shouldn't be spending the most amount of expensive money on this thing. And that's why I launched CarSauce Buy. I have a dedicated team of car buyers who are out there to get you the absolute best deal on your next new car. Whether it's this i30N or anything else, my team will go out to thousands of dealers, get you the absolute best offers, come back to you, and best of all, you don't pay anything. It's totally free for you. We actually charge the dealers a fixed fee, which also means we go in the hardest to get you the best prices possible, and we can source cars anywhere in Australia delivered straight to you. So that sounds good to you, and it definitely should. Make sure you just Google CarSauce Buy, and my team will help you out. All right. I think it's time to launch it. Alrighty guys, now we're going to launch the i30N. This is going to be a lot of fun. I love launching it. So to do this, we're going to put the car into N mode. We're then going to go into our N mode screen here, swipe right, and we're going to turn on launch control. My biggest tip for you is don't expect too much, because these tires aren't the greatest. Still don't like my Pirelli P0s, guys. I'm sorry, but it is true. So Hyundai claimed that this will do 0 to 100 in about 5.7 seconds, but it's really hard to achieve that, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. So let's launch it. Foot on the brake, slam it down, floor it. Oh, why isn't it activated? Come on. You All right, let's try that again. Now, technical difficulties here, clearly. Come on. Come on. I know you want to launch as much as I know I want to launch you. Okay, launch control, activate again. Please, please work. Alrighty, let's try one more time. Fist me. Here we go. I'm gonna adjust the RPM down a little bit. Better. Oh, that was pretty good. Come on, baby. Whoa. Whoa, fuck! That's a genuine reaction. Even with an incline slope of 1.6%, we got 5.64 seconds 0 to 100. Wow, 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 wow. That is fast for a front wheel drive. Awesome, okay. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Let's drive this thing normally. So as we drive along this terrible gravel road before we get to our better road, I do have to say there is one huge disadvantage now with the i30N, and that is that they have added they've added a new safety tech, which just sucks in one sense, and that is the speed warning. So now, unfortunately, every time you turn on the car, you just have to turn it off because it's poorly calibrated. It'll think that you're in a 40 zone, but you're actually in a 60 zone, and it will beep 1 kilometer over, and it will not shut up. So you have to turn it off, which does kind of suck. I wish that technology was better. But of course, where this car does shine is when you put it into N mode and you give it some sauce. Oh. Now, you might be wondering, Matt, why the hell is the back seats down? Well, there's a good reason, and that is because, here's a little pro tip for you, the back seats essentially act as a sound muffler for your exhaust. It just provides more sound isolation from the exhaust at the back of the car, so if you drop them, you can actually hear them a bit better. Oh, yes! I love this thing. Okay, so 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine. It's the same. It still pumps out a really healthy 206 kilowatt of power, 392 newton meters of torque. I've got it in my N Custom 1 mode now, which means that yes, I have the exhaust in its race mode. It just sounds epic. epic. It's so good. And it's also an absolute menace on the road at just cornering. It's honestly unbelievable how good the i30N is. I wholeheartedly stand by that this is about the most fun you can have with your pants on. And by the way, I would be remiss not to talk about the 8-speed dual clutch because frankly, it's awesome. It's a wet clutch dual clutch. It is so fast at shifting. It sounds amazing on upshift. I can't even not talk. And frankly, it's a lot easier to live with day to day than the 6-speed manual, which is definitely fun, but actually I find I have as much fun, if not a little bit more fun, with the dual clutch. Hate to admit it, usually I love a 6-speed manual hot hatch, but this dual clutch is just so good. It's so much fun. Do I think it's the most competent hot hatch in the world? No, I don't. I still think a Honda Civic Type R is a better track weapon. And in fact, when I recently went over to Germany with Hyundai to go drive this i30N on the Nurburgring, doing so many different laps, it made me feel quite sick. Well, that experience taught me two things. One, the i30N is one of the most capable hot hatches. Not the most though. It also taught me that actually I do prefer the way the i30N drives on a track versus an i20N, which I always thought the i20N was better, but when I drove them back to back on the Nurburgring, honestly, the i30N was more impressive. With just constant power, it definitely has more power than they say, and it is one of the best handling vehicles, hot hatches anyway, that you will ever drive. It is so impressive. And actually, before I talk about some of its flaws, I have to give a shout out to two people, or two companies anyway. One is Moser, who sent me over a bunch of their racing sim gear, including an amazing steering wheel and the CRP pedals. I will link them all down below, but that was instrumental in teaching me how to drive on the Nurburgring. And of course, I use an i30N mod on Assetto Corsa to learn that. So thank you, Moser. And also thank you to Next Level Racing. Again, not sponsored, but they did send me one of the most epic Next Level Racing cockpits out there. I'll link that down below as well. It's a Formula/GT hybrid. You can change it to whatever you want. So customizable. I love it. Just like I love this, but I'll tell you about some of its flaws in a second. Here we are at Saucy Corner. We now have NGS, which is N-Grin Shift. So we're going to press that. Gives us 20 seconds of overboost. Ah, the Pirelli tires. Oh. So what N-Grin Shift does is it gives you maximum power and torque output. It's, holy f***, this thing is so amazing. Holy f***. It's so good. It also changes the shifting calibration, so when you really put your foot down and upshift, it gives you a kick. Which is a bit of fun. And so yeah, that is pretty awesome. I feel like you can achieve the exact same thing if you just hit the throttle as hard as you can, but whatever. It's a fun little gimmick to have no matter what. So what's bad about this? Well, let's put the car back into normal mode. Now, it's not necessarily bad, but the i30N is 100% one of the most firm hot hatches you will drive. It is still quite comfortable, but it is on the firmer end. And they actually fixed that when they went to the PD3 version of the i30N. I know a lot about i30N. But yes, they updated the dampers. They made it a little bit less harsh, and it is adaptive dampers. So when you put it into N mode, yeah, it actually becomes very firm. When you put it into normal mode, it becomes better. When I was speaking to the European engineers of this, the chief engineer of the i30N, he did say that on a racetrack, on the Nurburgring, he actually puts the suspension into sport mode because that gives a bit more compliance to the ride, and you actually can achieve better cornering because you have a bit more roll in the body. Counterintuitive, but it actually works. But yeah, it's certainly one of the things you notice, especially on a pretty terrible back road like this, is that when you hit a bump like that, you feel it. I would rather have my hot hatch being a hot hatch though, and being an absolute corner carver like the i30N is, so I don't mind. But it is something I noticed when I lived with my i30N hatch long-termer, when I lived with my i30 Sedan N long-termer, is that these things, they do ride a bit firmer than the competition. But minor complaint, guys, like, it's so awesome. And that's what I love about the i30N. It puts a smile on my face. What other car can you do this, you know, from factory? Nothing. I actually don't think there's anything else, especially at 50 grand. So love it. Really love the i30N. And this just kind of builds on a little bit more. Alrighty, let's get to our final thoughts. Alrighty, so final thoughts on the updated, the facelifted i30N, should you go out and buy one? Well, considering that this will be the last Hyundai product, at least they're saying, with any sort of combustion engine, absolutely, I love the i30N. It definitely has its flaws. I don't think it's the best daily driver when you compare it to something like a Golf GTI, which does that comfort element a bit better. But the i30N, what it does do is provide incredible value, a lot of fast performance, and a lot of fun, and honestly just puts a big smile on your face. And I think that that counts for half the battle. And it's also an extremely competent Nurburgring capable weapon. So there's that too. But let me know what you guys think of the i30N down in the comment section below. Do you think that it needed this facelift? I'm curious to know what you guys think. Of course, like the video, share it with a friend if you found it useful. And of course, if you want to buy one of these and you want the absolute best price possible, my team will help you out. Just Google CarSauce buy, put in a few details, no obligations, no cost to you. It is a totally free service and 100% worth it. Ciao for now.